Welcome back to Turf Talk Rankings Edition. Vance, the world's best racehorse in action this week, or at least likely to be, entered in the Dubai World Cup. Arrogate, some chatter already on social media, expected to intensify. Winx obviously has her supporters. Are you capable of comparing these two, or are they just two different racehorses to try to say who's better?
To me, they're two different racehorses running on two different surfaces and in two different parts of the world. You really can't compare, I think, dirt form to turf form and vice versa. And it's a fun debate, I think, for a lot of people. Arrogate, romping on the dirt in the Pegasus World Cup, Breeders' Cup Classic, and Travers. Winx has now won, I've lost count now, 16 in a row, right up there with the Citation and Cigars of the world. So great feats on the part of both horses, but to me, I really can't compare them. They're just playing two different types of games in two different parts of the world.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I like the debate and I'll have it just to have it, but practically speaking, they are two different, TOO and TWO. Yeah, I mean, turf, Australia, Arrogate's dirt, just different style of racing, and it's impossible to see where they would even meet. A horse like Frankel being owned by Judgment, who Arrogate owns, there was sort of a flitter of, well, he could come to the Classic, or if it were on synthetic, they said they would have really considered it. There was always this sort of chance that, well, maybe we'll see him against one of ours. In this case, it's just not going to happen.
No, you can't see Arrogate even wanting to try turf. He has at most maybe 2 or 3 starts left this year, and that will be the end of his career. Winx, I think, is going to keep going and going. I think her connections have talked about at least going to Royal Ascot maybe next year after winning another Cox Plate or so. So hopefully we'll see Winx in action for a lot longer. But yeah, you're right. There's just no race in the world, I think, that would be compatible for the both of them.
Yep. That's right.
That's right.
All right, well, we agree on that much, but it is fun to debate. So, as I said, I'm sure that'll intensify as the World Cup comes closer. Speaking of rankings, Arrogate and Winx comfortably in the top 2. Certainly a Quinella there. Derby rankings continue to be in flux. I don't think many people were too impressed by the Rebel, with the maiden being second. Speed rating for Malagasy came back kind of slow. 6 years ago, we had winners from the Sunland and Spiral races. Those two are this week. Do you think, because of the way the Derby Trail has gone so far, that there's actually a little extra emphasis on these races this weekend?
If there is, I think it's probably a little misguided. I think those were kind of one-off possibilities, 6-7 years ago with Animal Kingdom and Mind That Bird winning out of those respective prep races. They're typically not the strongest and deepest. Now, as you said, the Rebel didn't come back really impressive, at least even compared to the Southwest a month before.
Sure.
Oaklawn, another Pletcher horse one-liner, winning that pretty easily and comfortably. But I would still stick with what's going to happen in the Bluegrass here in town here in Lexington next month. The Wood Memorial, Santa Anita Derby, I think all of those will probably have a bigger impact on the Derby than these two races coming up this weekend, although they should be great betting races, I would assume. It looks like a probable field of 12 in the Spiral at Turfway, so good stuff.
Yeah, I mostly agree. I mean, to me, Mind That Bird, I don't want to say fluke, because he ran okay in the Preakness in Belmont. He got good at the right time. Animal Kingdom, even though he was 21 on his Derby, if you took him into this group, he would be right there with most of them. So, that was just a circumstance of Graham picking that race to train him to the Derby. But this year, yeah, I mean, I would need to see a truly breakthrough performance. So more in line with what we saw with Animal Kingdom than Mind That Bird. I mean, if you finish 3rd or 4th in one of these races, you'll just have to beat me at 100-1 on Derby Day. But, if some horse airmails and just takes that big step forward we're used to seeing for 3-year-olds, normally maybe I discount it out of these two races, but this year I think you have to take a longer look.
Yeah, and the Spiral, going back to the Animal Kingdom example, he did romp in that race, which was on poly track, and a lot of trainers liken the Churchill Downs main track being as compatible a dirt surface as possible to horses that run well on synthetic or on turf, and I think history kind of backs that up a little bit. And then Sunland Park, I haven't quite seen who's going to run in that race, but Mind That Bird. we had no idea Mind That Bird was peaking at the right time off of his, what was it, third or fourth place finish in Sunland. So,
he didn't win there
yeah.
as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of a grab bag, so to speak. So we'll see what happens.
Yep, absolutely will, and we'll be back next week to talk about it, wrap up the Dubai stuff. There is actually the biggest points race is on the Dubai card, 100 points to the winner of the U.A.E. Derby, undefeated Epicaris, obviously the looker there, but Lancaster Bomber, interesting for Aiden O'Brien, a trainer I'd love to see win the Derby. So even that, I'm not a big Dubai to Derby guy, but this is the year I even bet Malagasy, the Apollo Curse in Vegas before the Rebel. Just might be one of those crazy years. Something happens.
Very could well be, especially now with the news breaking kind of today that Classic Empire really didn't want to work out this weekend, was shipped to Ocala for a gallop, and so his place in the Derby rankings and the pecking order seems a little fleeting at the moment.
Yeah, I would say still on top of mine. I made mine before the news of his workout though, and getting tough to justify the top spot, but no one's stepping up. So maybe this weekend, probably not. Maybe the weekend after one of the other derbies. But either way, we'll talk about it next week and find some winners. All right, join us then.